Hey guys, how's it going? Kripparrian here. Today I want to bring you guys a special video in partnership with the Grand Archive trading card game. Now, the company behind this is Weebs of the Shore. They're a small indie company based out of Houston, Texas, and I've actually had a little bit of contact with them as they were getting their project out. Now, their goal is to create fun and interactive games with a focus on the anime art style, and their first long-term project is the Grand Archive TCG. Now, Grand Archive is an anime card game with a focus on Western game design concepts, and it all started with a very successful Kickstarter where they raised almost $1 million and have since released their game, and they're doing so well that they're actually launching Set 2 Fractured Crown, which will be available on August 25th and onwards. They've also sent me a whole bunch of stuff to check out, including 3 starter decks, the boxes I showed you, a playmat, and a whole bunch of other cool stuff. But before we get into all the unboxing, let me show you guys a few of the basics so you can learn what this game is all about. Now, to get you guys first acquainted with Grand Archive, we first have to talk about the champions. The champion is kind of your core card in Grand Archive. So out of the 3 starter decks that I have received, we have Lorraine's starter deck, which is a warrior champion. We have Sylvie's starter deck, which is a tamer champion. This kind of introduces the theme of the deck. And the one that I opened, of course, which is Rai, which is a mage champion. There also exists an assassin type champion. Now, these types can be used to play specific cards, but they're not required. You can play cards. If you're playing Rai as a mage, you can play a warrior card, for example, but some effects will need that archetype to be the same. Now, Rai is a pretty cool guy. He's the guy that shows up on the cover art, but he is a level 2 champion. This is a version of Rai that you can hope to establish on the board at some point, but you always start the game with a level 0 card. This is your starting champion in a game. Now, you can start with fire, you can start with water, or you can start with wind. Those are the base elements of the level 0 champions, and they effectively dictate the majority of the cards in your deck. And you can go from a level 0 to a level 1 to a level 2 to a level 3. And level 3 cards usually unlock the greater magic cards, the greater schools, the arcane for Rai Stormseer. And this allows you to play arcane cards, which are late game and very powerful. Now, any game is going to start with a spirit, usually. It is your very first card. It is your very first champion. It is a level 0 champion, and all spirits have a typing. Now, the fire type will allow you to forever afterwards play fire-based cards. Your champion in a game of Grand Archive effectively is you. If your champion takes more damage than its available health as a total throughout every turn, you will lose. If you have a Spirit of Fire and you have taken 15 damage on your champion, you will lose. But after you play that, you can take a card like Rai and level up from your Spirit of Fire. Now, Rai is a norm. Norm cards are basically ones that you can play in any situation. They don't have a restriction like fire, but your champion enables you to play those cards. Rai has more health than his Spirit of Fire level 0 card, so you'll survive as long as you don't take up until 19 damage with a level 1 Rai. Now, Rai is going to have a cost that's going to be in blue. That blue cost means that Rai and the Spirit of Fire and a card like the Crystal of Empowerment are going to be in your material deck. In Grand Archive, you play with 2 decks. You play with 60 cards, which is a deck that you shuffle, and it's basically the random aspect of the card game. But you also play with a material deck of 12 cards. You can take a card from your material deck, any one you want, maximum once per turn, and they have a blue cost to signify that they are cards that belong only in a material deck. A card like Crystal of Empowerment
will basically be played, grant a bonus, sometimes be left out once the bonus is done, like the Crystal of Empowerment. There are also weapons, but Rai's deck, being a mage, well, he doesn't have a whole lot of weapons in his starter deck. But weapons can allow your champion to attack, because as a baseline, champions only have health. Cards that can attack are allies as well. Allies will usually have an attack value in the bottom right and a health value. You notice the health value is a lot lower than your champion. That's because your champion accumulates damage, but allies, they have to take their total health and damage during one turn to die. If they take 1 damage in one turn, 1 damage in the next, they won't die. Now, champions, much like all the cards in your 60-card deck, will have that typing. For the normal, you can play this in any deck, and its cost, signified in yellow instead of blue, means that it is part of your 60-card deck. Allies operate under your control. They can attack, retaliate, and usually act as a form of generating tempo throughout the game for most conditions, but we'll talk about that in a bit. Some allies can have a requirement. Had we not played the Spirit of Fire as our opener, we would not be able to play the Blitz Mage. It doesn't cost fire, it just requires you to have unlocked the element. Now, Blitz Mage is a particularly aggressive card with 3 attack and 1 health, and allies in Grand Archive can attack the turn you play them, so that can be pretty interesting. The other type of card in Grand Archive is an action card. Now, an action might include a multitude of things, but for Rai's deck, for simplicity's sake, they're going to be mage spells. Focus Flames is a pretty powerful card, but the main thing that sets it apart, other than its cost, the fact that you have it in your main deck, the fact that you need to unlock fire to play it, is its speed. Its speed is signified in the lower right, and for Focused Flames, it's slow. Slow means you play it slow. As a card, standalone, in your main phase, only on your turn. Otherwise, some spells might be fast, as signified on the Fireball. This means that you can play it to respond to anything that happens in the game, pretty much. And you can also play it to respond to something that your opponent does on their turn. Of course, it still has a cost, so your opponent might see it coming that you have a fair amount of available resources on their turn. All right, let's do a quick demo. So a game of Grand Archive is played with 2 decks. Your 60-card deck, which comprises of yellow costs, as I mentioned earlier. Now, normally you'd want to shuffle that, but this time, well, it's a little bit of a demo here. And we have the material deck, which are going to have your champions, all the different levels that you might want to include in the material deck for your game plan. And one of them is going to have to be your starter card, your level 0 champion. And all these cards are going to be signified as cards that are going to be part of your material deck because their cost is blue. So, how does a game start? Well, let's pretend we're playing against an opponent. Let's pretend we're going first. The game starts with your starter card. You don't actually draw cards just by yourself. Your starter card tells you how many cards you draw. So you start the game by playing your starter card from the 12 cards in your material deck. Now, Spirit of Fire will unlock us and allow us to play fire cards for the entirety of the rest of the game. And on enter, draw 7 cards. So let's do that. So I'll draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, after we play that first card, we get 1 main phase. The first turn is special and a little bit different and skips a few parts than the other turns in the rest of the game. But we are able to play a few cards nevertheless. So, how do we play cards with yellow mana costs? How do we play cards that are randomly drawn from our deck? Well, why don't we start by trying to play an ally? Let's play the Barrier Servant. So, it has a normal typing, so everyone meets that, and it has a cost of 3. So let's play it. Where do we use up 3? What 3 do we spend? We are going to play 3 cards face down on the bottom here, which is considered the memory area. And those are cards that you are going to potentially risk banishing. We'll talk about that in a second. So in this case, we want to perhaps pick cards that we don't need in this game or we don't need right away. We have perhaps an 11 cost card, so that's 1. Maybe we don't need the spells, perhaps. So 2 and 3. Now we could play another card, but who cares? Let's not this turn just for the sake of the gameplay. We have an ally in play. Now, if we went first, our opponent would not yet have his champion in play, but we would be able to attack it if we wanted. Perhaps if we went second, we would be able to attack it right away. But there is an advantage to not attacking. So if we play first, not attacking has an advantage because our opponent is fairly likely to open up with an ally as well, because that's kind of like a tempo building mechanic in gameplay. And the barrier servant has intercept. Whenever your champion is attacked while this ally is awake, you may redirect that attack to this ally. So if I attack something, it would be in the rested position. If I don't attack in my turn, it'll be awake. So that means that I can use the intercept to block an incoming attack to my champion. And because it's still awake when it blocks, I can rest it while blocking, which will cause retaliatory damage to the attacker. So that can be very useful as well. So that can be our turn. We pass, and it's going to be our turn again. On the second turn, we want to be able to play one card from our memory deck before we do anything else. And how do we do that? What are blue mana costs? Maybe we should perhaps level up our champion? Why don't we? Let's play Rai Spellcrafter. So when you level up a card, you actually place it on top. Just to know that you can still play fire cards. The health goes up, and the cost, signified under the level, is in blue. Where do we pay blue costs? Well, they're going to come from our memory, the basically loaned cards from the previous turn that we used to cast the barrier servant. So at random, you can roll a dice or something like that, or have maybe your opponent pick. We are going to banish a card in order to play Rai. So that card is Gonzo. It's actually pretty hard to get stuff from the banishment. And as the turn begins, you return the cards that did not get banished, you draw a card, and you proceed to play. Back and forth, you can imagine this gets pretty crazy. Things like card advantage, costs, the risk of banishment, tempo using allies back and forth. All of these mechanics are very intertwined, and though simple, in a way, the fact that they all relate to one another creates pretty complicated combo-based gameplay that I think the better player will often win. And I really like it because it creates kind of this really well-themed adventure of actually playing your champion, getting helpers, playing spells. The idea of reserving some potential cost to play into your opponent's next turn, well, sometimes you can mind game that. Sometimes you might just not want to risk some banishment on very important cards because combos might come in later. If you want to learn more details about playing, there's great videos showing how to play online on YouTube, and it includes ample resources on their official website. All right, let's get to unboxing. Now, the main part of the unboxing is going to be set 2, Fractured Crown. Now, this is a modified box that they sent me, so it is special. It doesn't have like the normal distribution of cards and all that. It's just for the purposes of showcasing some of the cool cards. But I also opened some of the other stuff, and I just wanted to showcase this. This is a deck box, and this is just about the coolest deck box I have ever seen. It has kind of like an engraved art style. It is very well put together, and when it opens, it has a full art and a really well done, really nicely themed deck holding container thing there. That's perhaps the coolest deck box I've had anyway. All right, on to unboxing. Let's give it a go. So this is set 2. You'll be able to check this out in person August 25th. And there's a Fractured Crown pack. I do want to focus a little bit on the art style and the quality of the cards. It is an indie company, But I have to tell you guys, the quality of the product that I have seen is really top tier. It's very impressive. Even the card backing of every single Grand Archive card is next level, right? I mean, that's like the coolest card back out there. Scavenging Raccoon, Steady Verse, Lurking Assailant, Intrepid Spearman, Ordinary Bear, Crimson Protective Trinket, Refracting Missile, and Cloak of Still Water, an assassin accessory. I haven't quite figured out the opening method for these. I'll get better. We have enough to test. Okay, there we go. Stalwart Shieldmate, Song of Frost. That's a cool one. More burrs. Seeking Shot. Guarded Dissipation. Prismatic Sanctuary. Unique Domain. There you go. Very cool. It has kind of like a few teeth there. Maybe yeah, I think I'm supposed to just use the corner there. Or not, I don't know. Yep, okay. It was a lot easier that way. Mark of Fervor, Tariff Ring, Blazing Bowman, Scatter Essence, Gentle Respite. Oh, I saw a fancy card in there. Oh, okay. No spoilers, no spoilers. Steady Verse, Honed by Fire, Cunning Broker, Fast Cure, Frostbind. Look at that, very cool. Cleric Spell Reaction. Refracting Missile. Zephyr's Edge. So these are the weapons I talked about. A weapon has an attack and durability. Attacking with it allows your champion to attack, but it removes the durability off of the weapon doing so. Capricious Links. Dematerialize. Oh, we got another shiny card. Beast Bond Ears. Your champion has +1 level as long as you control an animal or beast ally. Fractal of Intrusion. I really like the foil cards. Only part of it is foil, but it's foiled differently in different parts. You can see the mannequin doesn't have much of a foil, but the ears do. But then the background has a different texture to it. Very cool. Trapper. Rally the Peasants. The Majestic Spirit. A 12 cost. Oh boy. This is a blue cost, so this is a material deck card. It's Crux, which is an advanced element. So this is a really late game ally. And remember, the allies, they have to take their health and damage all in one turn to die. 10 health. Steady Verse, Mark of Fervor, Flame Break. We got a regular Frostbind and a Wild Heart Liar. I thought I was getting better at opening these, but Maybe not, maybe not. Riptide, Cunning Broker, Windrider, Korazi, Covenant of Thorns. Class bonus. This card costs 1 less to materialize. That's a pretty cool ability. Okay, maybe I am getting better. More Burrs. Resolute Stand. Innervate Knowledge. Tithe Proclamation. More Song of Frost. Fast Cure. Dematerialize. And Displace. It's a fast, banish target ally, then return it to the field under its owner control rested. Cool. Raccoon, Develop Mana. Put a level counter. Oh, that looks real shiny. Wow, look at that. Oh, that is a really cool card. Blanche, Sheltering Saint. Unique ally, Cleric Human. If another unit you control would be dealt non-attack damage, prevent an amount of that damage equal to the amount of cards in your memory. We got some other cool cards here. Illuminate Secrets. I really like how cards have different levels of being special. Foils, different type of foils on the same card. The signature cards being like a greater degree of art. They're really well done. You know, we talk about this being an indie company, but the quality of the product is really very nice. Uther, Illustrious King. 4/4 for 4, wow. On enter, you may rest. When you do, banish another non-champion object. Shinies. Stalwart Shieldmate. Very nice. We'll add that to the shiny part. Gentle Respite. Peaceful Reunion, Green Slime, Trapper, and Gawain. Honed by Fire, Lurking Assailant, Refracting Missile, very cool card there. Fire Tongue. Fast Cure, Scatter Essence, Red Slime, cuter, and Innervate Fury. Mark of Fervor, another Lynx, Cunning Broker, Green Slime, Arondite Azure Blade. Incendiary Fractal, Dematerialize, Ocean's Blessing. It's a cool effect. And a Wand of Frost. Class bonus, draw card, Cleric Mage. Stalwart Shieldmate, Imperious Highlander, Resolute Stand, and Dawn of Ashes. Really cool card. All right, the last pack. What's it gonna be? Thieving Cut, Spearman, Highlander, Bowman, Apostle, and Parsonet. Yeah, the real highlight was Blanche here. Very cool.
Now, if you like what you have seen and you want to get your hands on some Grand Archive TCG products, make sure to head on to their website and you can go to the store locator to see where you can get some of it yourself. It is a surprisingly wide coverage of places, and with just their second set rolling out now, if it's not available where you live, it might soon be available where you live because they're trying real hard. So make sure to check back. Make sure to check in on August 25th, which is the release for their second set, Fractured Crown. And if you want to take your game to the next level, official events have actually already begun. September 30th to October 1st, they're going to have their first two-day event, Ascent event in Houston. It's going to have a $20,000 USD minimum prize pool. It's an open-level tournament, and the prizes include some really unique stuff, including signed prize cards. So if you do want to check that out, or you want to check back because they will be having further events, keep checking back on their official website. Hope you guys enjoyed my coverage of the Grand Archive TCG, and I'll see you next time.